You mean this was some sort of a game? I couldn't have dreamed it.
Hello and welcome, I am Silent Noise and this is T.H.E Arsenal Cast. Now before we get stuck into the result, you can follow us on Through Harmony equals Arsenal and support us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and YouTube on T.H.E Arsenal Cast. You can catch the blog on www.theacast.com. So check us out, like, subscribe and get involved. So, Fulham 0, Arsenal 3. We'll get straight into the lineup, shall we? Now, it was pretty much as I expected, to be fair. I envisioned Arteta going off with 3 at the back and the wing-backs, 2 in midfield and the 3 up top, pretty much as he did towards the back end of the season, only due to injuries and team selection, people coming back from their holidays. You know how it is. So he went with Leno in goal, which was a bit surprising. That was one of the positions I was looking out for. Martinez did a pretty good job overall to the back end of last season. Didn't deserve to be dropped in my opinion. Performed well in the FA Cup final. Again in the Community Shield against Liverpool. Did extremely well. So yeah, he's a bit unlucky to be dropped, but by all accounts, it looks like he's going for the move. He wants more playing time, and I can't knock that at the end of the day. He's not getting the time that he would like. And Arteta can't promise it. We've got 2 great goalkeepers, so him forcing a move, I'm not too upset about that. We'll get best side of 20 million for him. So yeah, he went with Leno in goal. Then in front of him, David Luiz picked up the injury in the Community Shield, so it's a bit unfortunate. Actually, I heard that he's going to be out for 6 weeks, which I didn't expect. So it looks like back 3 might be pretty much as we've seen it today, with Rob Holding, Gabriel and T.H.E. And I was a bit surprised. I thought Saliba might have came in, only because Saliba's been training with the team towards the back end of last season. A little bit longer than what Gabriel has. Gabriel hasn't played for a while, as I understand it, so I was a bit surprised, but he went with Gabriel. Must have showed some good stuff in training. And then I didn't know who the wing-backs would be, whether or not we would see Bellerin, who's been linked with moves away, but I'm glad Bellerin played, and Ainsley Maitland-Niles on the left-hand side as well. Leaving the 2 in the midfield as Xhaka, and he went with El Neni, who played in a couple of the pre-season games. I think he played in the Community Shield as well. Yeah, he played in the Community Shield, had a good game in the Community Shield actually, so he stuck with El Neni over Rushing in Ceballos. And up top, it was Abba on the left-hand side. Now, unlike most people, I don't mind Abba on the left. It's kind of, I think when you play Abba through the middle, in my opinion, I lose a little bit of the hold-up play, and I don't mind him playing out on a wide where he can then come in on his favoured foot and rifling his shots, his trademark shots. And then Lacazette down the middle, and the surprise selection again was Willian. I thought Saka might have started on the right-hand side, or at least Pepe coming in, but Willian straight into the team, and why not? He's been playing for Chelsea. I know he picked up a knock towards the end of the season, but still, he knows Premier League inside out. So, yeah, it was good selection. And right from the off, I could see what Arteta's game plan was. The team was doing a lot of one-touch, quick passing. They were pressing high up the pitch. If you look at like the first 5 minutes, they were at them. They were pressing high up the pitch. One-touch passing. It was looking good from everyone. Everyone looked kind of assured in possession. And then Gabriel had a little scary moment. I'm not sure what time it was in the game, but it was early. He had a little bit scary moment where he passed the ball back to Leno, and there was a little bit of a misunderstanding, which just allowed enough time, and I think it was Camara coming in on goal for Fulham, just allowed enough time for him to get a half chance. I think he actually got the ball, and it was just a great save from Leno. It's a bit of an unusual one, because that could have went either way, and if that ended up being a goal, you just imagine the heads dropping a little bit, the confidence being knocked out of our new signing, and it could have really set a bad tone for the team. But luckily, the guys stuck together and stayed at it, sorted their feet out, and got on with it. And the goal comes in the 8th minute. Lacazette scores a goal. The ball gets knocked over the top, goes out wide to the left-hand side, and Aubameyang can't really do too much with it, so he squares it back to Xhaka, who I think miscues his shot, and then it almost ricochets and then falls to Willian's feet, and Willian, in sorting his feet out, does like a point blank, pops his shot off, and it just comes off the keeper and just lands nicely in front of Lacazette's path, which, I mean, come on, as a striker, first game of the season, you just want anything to get up and off the mark, and a little tap in like that, take that all day long. So it was a great start, actually. 10 minutes into the game, they were doing some nice one-touch passing, mainly attacking down the left-hand side. It was looking quite good, actually. At times, it was almost like we wasn't playing a back three with wing backs. It was, he kind of tweaks the formation a little bit. He was using Ainsley Maitland-Niles to come in off that left-hand side to almost make a third person in the midfield, tucking up and sometimes even pressing on ahead of Aubameyang or Lacazette to overpack that and crowd that midfield area. You got Lacazette dropping deep, so with Lacazette dropping deep, Ainsley Maitland-Niles pushing up, and then you've still got Xhaka and El Nini in the midfield area. It was almost like an overload was being created, and then T.H.E was shuffling out to the left-hand side, almost like a left back. And then you had Gabriel and Holding in the middle with Bellerin as a right back. So it was almost like a 4 sometimes. It was like a 4-3-3 at times. And without the ball, they'll just revert back to this 3-4-3 formation. It was quite flexible, actually. Ainsley Maitland-Niles had a lot to do in this game. I think the way we were set up, it was dependent on him nailing his position and getting into the midfield and then getting back. There was times in the first half, I can remember a few times down that left-hand side where by him making those midfield runs, leaving T.H.E a little bit exposed, and the number 7 and number 4, was it Adoy and I forget the number 7's name now. Cabano, I think it was Cabano. They were getting some joy down that left hand side, so that was a little bit tricky for him. But overall, in that first half, they coped well, and they was growing in confidence as the game went on. Gabriel, I mean, as your first game in the Premier League, coming up against Camara, big centre forward, he dealt with it well. Balls coming in over the top, he was heading the balls out, he was passing. His passing was assured. Everything just seemed to be connecting. After those first five minutes or so, after I had the little scare in the beginning, everything else just seemed like there was just a calm setting and everything was just working well. So really pleased to see the signing come in and find his feet straight away. It's not an easy thing, especially coming into Premier League and your first game is an away game. Not easy at all. So really, really happy to see that and happy for the guy. Now, most of the attack in the first half was coming down the left-hand side, and like I mentioned before, with Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Aubameyang and T.H.E working little triangles. Ainsley would tuck in, so Aubameyang would then be on the outside with T.H.E feeding balls to him, or vice versa, where Aubameyang would then work his way in and he'd have Ainsley Maitland-Niles running beyond him on the outside. So yeah, it was a lot of triangles and a lot of work. You could see, you could clearly see that, look, Arteta's been doing some drills with these guys. They've got a picture in their head of what they're trying to do, and 9 times out of 10 in this first half, things was going to plan. Like, you could see there was a clear plan when they were pressing the ball. There was a clear plan in defending. The passes were going through the lines. It was looking good. There was one spell, I think, when after a few passes, ball come to Lacazette, he did a little cheeky back heel, and then he even had a shot from midfield. It was nice. And then shortly after that, Willian gets a free kick. I think it's just outside the box on the 20-odd minute mark, and so unlucky. He fires the ball over the wall and it just comes off the post. Oh, so close, scoring his first goal for Arsenal. Then there was a moment where Lacazette passed the ball to Willian. The play again, the ball gets fired over towards the left-hand side. Lacazette controls the ball and almost takes just a little bit too long with the pass. The overall chance itself was offside, but you look at it and you just think, geez, like, even if you just squared that a little bit quicker, and Willian can just have a little tap in, then they got to review it and scrutinise whether or not it was offside. I mean, I believe it was, but at the end of the day, you want to see these chances end up in goals, so at least there's a decision that has to be made by the officials. But the play was good. The play was really good in the first half. I think they was just unlucky to still be only the goal up at the end of the day. Considering that Aubameyang then has a shot with another ball that's passed over the top from Xhaka. And it's a really good ball, actually. It's kind of just a straight ball over the top, and it falls to Aubameyang. And he has a cracking shot. Not too long before he gets a yellow card for chasing down a player and closing them down. And that's another thing that both of the guys were doing on either side, Aubameyang and William. They were running back to their opposing player and tracking them all the way. I mean, there was a few times I remember Aubameyang right near his own box, and William as well, tracking back, getting the foot in, getting the ball and popping it back to our players, so we got the play going again. So overall, I think it's a good first half, and half-time whistle comes at a time where everyone can take stock and reflect and know they've done a good job so far.
Football's back. Come on, Arsenal.
Now, after the break, I believe most managers would be saying, look, we're a goal up. We've got a clean sheet. We're playing away. Continue pressing. Continue playing the way you're playing. Get a couple more goals. Keep a clean sheet. And let's take all 3 points home. And I mean, there's no better way of starting that than you're coming out, you're applying pressure straight again from half time. Results in a corner. And Willian steps up to take the corner, and straight away I'm looking at the box, and I can just see Gabriel just lingering towards the back post, works his way towards the middle of the goal, and there's not even much movement, but you can just see him standing out amongst everyone else. Great ball into the box. Gabriel just meets it. Ball actually, I think, goes through the cheeky little nutmeg. It goes through the keeper's legs, heads it down into the floor, goes through the keeper's legs. 2-0 up. I mean, come on. And then from there, it's almost like they reverted back to more of the traditional 3-4-3 formation with the wing backs, and everything then became about managing the game. You had making sure the spaces weren't too big between players, everyone closing down, working hard for each other. It was a good performance from everyone on the pitch. The guys were working for each other, and that's what you like to see. One player's making a run, you got someone else covering him. You got one player on the ball, you got 2 or 3 players making a run, providing options for him, and it was good. El Neni and Xhaka, every time that either one of them were on the ball, you had at least 2 or 3 passes they could have popped off, and that's what you want, because at the end of the day, we all know what Xhaka and El Neni's limitations are, and the more you can get the players around them to keep things simple, the easier it is going to be for them, and the more likely we are going to have success if they complete their passes. So everyone was doing their best, and it was great to see, actually. First game of the season where we haven't had that much training. I mentioned in my blog, Arteta said that he's only had 1 training session where the whole team have been present, which, I mean, we ended the season late because of the FA Cup final. We started it early because of the Community Shield, then had a week where you had the international break, people being given extra leave, they come back, they got a quarantine. You haven't had that much training sessions with everyone, so you kind of working with the same kind of formation and tactics, but I don't know, he's drilled something into them because they are not the same team. I'm looking at the organisation, especially in the defence. They are not the same team. Taking more risks, and that's what you have to do if you want to be bold and play football. You got to take risks. You got to be willing to knock the ball about at the back and not worry about, if you lose it here or there. Like, at the end of the day, yeah, you will every now and again, but you got to stick to your guns, and you got to play. You got to play out from the back. And actually, I think Arsenal, more than any other team, are benefiting from the fact that there are no fans, because I'd imagine if they're playing the way they're playing out the back, the fans watching that week in, week out would still be nervous, and that transmits to the players. So I think they're one of the clubs that is really benefiting from the fans not being allowed in the stadium. Now, it's a shame to say that, because that's where we all want to be. We all want to be there. We all want to be watching the games, but at the moment, while we're building in confidence, while we're finding our feet, while we're getting used to playing together and everyone working for the same goals, we've got a new manager, all this stuff is new. So at the moment, this is the best time for us to be playing behind closed doors, so to speak, with no fans there, because we can work on everything that we're doing in training. And Mikel Arteta's voice is so prominent on the sidelines that the players have to listen. The players have to respond. So it's just actually really benefiting us at the moment. I mean, even speaking of playing out from the back, ultimately the Aubameyang goal comes from ping a few nice passes out from the back, and then it goes out to the right-hand side, which most part of the second half, the attacks were then coming down the right-hand side with Bellerin and Willian stepping up and working some plays off of El Neni, and then feeding the ball into Lacazette and switching the play. Willian was really good at switching the play, actually, when I think about it. A few times in the first half when the ball come to him and he's got his head up and he's looked for Aubameyang and hit that pass, that diagonal pass, and just not too lofted, with a bit of pace, just swing that Aubameyang. It just allowed for him to work the bit of space that was opened up, because everyone's gearing towards the right-hand side. And that's what happened in the second half. The ball's worked on the right-hand side. Ball gets fed to Bellerin, and Bellerin pings a pass into Lacazette. And Lacazette is actually fouled. And I'm looking at, he's had a couple of these fouls on him in this game where the defender's gone touch tight on him, and he's drew the foul, but instead of the referee blowing for the free kick, he's let play on, and Willian makes this dart towards the ball, which almost tells the referee, don't stop, do not blow this whistle. And then straight away he pings this pass across field to Aubameyang, and Aubameyang just chests it, and straight away, like, I guarantee 80 to 90% of Arsenal fans are already standing up celebrating, because when you see Aubameyang cutting in onto his right foot like that and taking a shot, unless there's a block coming in, this is going to result in a goal. And that's exactly what happens. He rifles it in top bins. And it's just so beautiful to watch. And then sometime after the hour mark, Mitrovic comes on for a camera. And I'm like, okay, I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, Mitrovic, he's played in the league before. He knows what it's about. He knows how to draw fouls. He knows how to use his body in this league. So I'm thinking, okay, this is a good test for Gabriel. I want to see how he deals with him. And straight away, as soon as he comes on, he's up there. He's getting the headers. He's getting little flick-ons. He's putting his body in, squaring up against Holding, more so than Gabriel. But it was interesting to see how they dealt with him, and the boys done well. Again, like everything that was put in front of them, they dealt with it. They're getting their headers, playing out when they can, clearing it when you need to clear it, working with the goalkeeper off the goal kicks, being brave with the one-touch passing and playing out from the back. So it was really nice to see them stand up to it, not letting their heads go and drop in and sticking to the game plan, play out from the back. Because ultimately, when you do that, you're going to open up more space. And that's what they kept doing. They kept playing out from the back, stretching the team, firing the ball upfield. And then the pressure in the second half, I'm thinking from the 70-minute onwards when we brought on Pepe for Willian. And it was almost like there was 2 or 3 chances that we could have had there. There was like cheeky little nutmegs going on from Ceballos, back heels, the Pepe shaping to come inside, going on the outside, firing a couple like within the 6-yard box. It was the pressure was starting to build again from that 70-minute onwards, and it looked like they could have got another couple. But credit where it's due, Fulham were trying to snuff out where they could and getting the bodies in front of the ball and blocking chances. So it was a good game. It was a good game. Good game to get their levels up, get back into the groove, playing week in, week out. It was an ideal game for the guys, I have to say. Fulham weren't really putting a foot on them. They weren't really leaving anything on them. They weren't pressuring them. They weren't hurrying them in possession. It was a good game for Arsenal to come back in after a few weeks and put down a marker of, we're ready. We're ready for the league. I mean, there was one part where they were pinging the ball around. Abba got a pass from Bellerin, and Bellerin come infield, almost like inverted wing back, passed the ball straight to Abba. I think he had Pepe on the outside of him, and he passed the ball to Abba, and he took the touch, and it looked like he was just going to round the keeper and just dink it in, but ball was travelling too fast, and it just, by the time he's tried to put it towards goal, it's there's a couple guys on the line ready to clear it away for a corner. So it's a bit unlucky there, but it was good play, good overall play. Now for the remainder of the match, I think there's a few like free kicks going on, a few yellow cards coming out now. Eddie comes on for Lacazette towards the 85th minute mark or something like that. But by then it's just about us managing the game. They're just popping passes off and just really coasting to get the 3 points, which it's nice to say because it's not always the way with Arsenal, but it's nice when you can manage the game like that without having a scare, without having your keeper under too much pressure, had too much shots. I mean, when I think about what Leno was faced against, apart from that first chance in the first half, I can't recall too many times where Leno was being tested. There was a few that was coming down the throat. Nothing either side of him. Nothing really to trouble him too much, which you can't really, you can't fault, you can't knock too much. Yeah, everyone played well. Everyone played really well. I mean, first game of the season, 3 goals scored, a clean sheet, away win, your new boys settling in well. Willian just looks comfortable as Willian should, but Gabriel came in, and I swear he must have only had 1, if not at most 2 training sessions, and he's come in to the Premier League after not playing football for so long, and he just looked comfortable. I mean, there's going to be bigger tests down the road, especially as I'm looking at what Liverpool in a few weeks' time. So there's definitely going to be bigger tests for him. But for your first game, what more could you ask for? He was my man of the match. I think he actually got man of the match. It was close call, actually. I was looking at it and I was thinking either Gabriel or Willian could take man of the match here, because Willian had a hand in a couple of the goals. His overall play was good. Like I said, his passing was assured and confident. But Gabriel, for me, coming in, is your first game, keeping a clean sheet, scoring a header, and dealing with pretty much everything that was coming at you. He's a defender that I think in time we're going to look at and say, why is it taking us so long to get another one of these defenders? Because he looks like he enjoys defending, which we don't really get those type of players. We get the players that want to defend every now and again, but their mind is on going forward, whereas he looks like a player who likes defending, and it's rare that we get one of those, and I think we've got one in him, and it'll be interesting to see how he beds him in with Saliba as well to come in. It might be forced a little bit actually with the David Luiz situation where he can't play. I imagine he's going to have to get close to playing the centre-back pairing that he wants to earlier than what he probably would have planned, which means we might actually be able to go back to a back 4 quicker than what he might have planned, which might be a good thing, but we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see on that one. I know I prefer us playing with a back 4, get the extra body in midfield, a bit more of a creative body further forward from Ceballos and Xhaka, so at least you got more for the strikers to feed off. Because in this game, although I do like seeing Aubameyang wide, there was times in the first half when he had chalk on his boots. There was times when I was thinking, Maitland-Niles, you go outside and let Aubameyang come in, please, because we need him just that little bit closer to goal. And it wasn't really the case on the right-hand side, because Willian was coming in, but then he was drifting out when it needed, just to suck the defence out. But it must all be part of the game plan, and it worked. First half looked like it was follow the game plan, lads, and we'll get the 3 points. Second half was manage the game. Now you done the hard work, you done what we needed to do. Now let's manage the game, and that's what the boys did to the T. Okay, that's it for the first part. Now I'm going to take a little break here, grab a drink, and then I'll kick off part 2. Okay, now in the future I'd like to take this time to hear from some of you guys out there, answer some questions, go through anything Arsenal related, and really get to know some of you guys out there who share some of the same passion and get your opinions, hear what you have to say. However, being the first podcast, I'll take this time to go through the player ratings. So, starting with the goalkeeper, Leno. Like I said, did a good save at the beginning of the game. Not really worked too much. Pulled off a couple good saves. Assured in passing. I would give him a 7. Then moving on to the defenders. Got Kieran Tierney on the left-hand side. I think he got through quite a lot of work going up and down that left-hand flank. Like I said, there was a couple of times when he was exposed, but he coped well. He got his body in the way of things when he needed to. He made some good tackles. I'll give Tierney a 7 as well. Then you got Gabriel. Like I said, he's my man of the match. I think he dealt with things after that first little wobble. After the first couple of minutes, 5-minute mark, after that, got his head down, started playing the passes where he needed to play them, just kept it simple. Winning his headers, went up the other end, scored a goal, kept a clean sheet. In my man of the match, I'll give him a 9. Then moving on to Rob Holding, good in defence as well. Wasn't troubled too much. Come on, these guys are going to find themselves in a lot more difficult situations over the course of the season. This Fulham team, first game up in the Premier League after being promoted, they weren't tested as much as they will be in the weeks to come. So let's not get too ahead of ourselves with the results, but you can only play against what's in front of you. So Rob Holding, I'll give him a 7. Then with the wing backs, Ainsley Maitland-Niles stuck to his task. A little bit quieter in the second half, if I think about it. It was the game plan. He tucked in more on the second half and helped T.H.E out, so he wasn't exposed as much. So he had a good solid game. Again, another player that I really don't want us to sell. He's proven himself quite useful to the team. He can play in a number of positions. He can get up and down. He's got a good motor on him. Like, he can play the passes. I mean, you put him on either side of the pitch and he's doing a job. And it's not just like a bit part job. He's a utility man. You can use him and he's doing a good job in each of the positions. So, solid game from him. I'll give him a 7 as well. Then moving on to the right hand side with Bellerin. He's a player now. I know there's a bit of speculation about him and whether we're keeping him or not, I have no idea. But he's a player for me that I can see is coming back from a bad injury and it's taking its time. With each game, he's getting minutes under his belt and he's looking better and better. Now, we're still not seeing the Bellerin that first burst onto the scene, but we are seeing a player that is maturing with each game. He's finding the passes and he's being more progressive with the ball. Now, the key for me here is what happens when Pepe comes back into the team, because when I look at them two play together, the relationship isn't the best passing wise. Bellerin always comes in and never looks outside of him or plays the early pass that I think Pepe is looking for. And the ball ultimately then goes to him when he's got his back towards the defender and it has to get knocked back to Bellerin and then it gets worked and recycled through the midfield. Now, whether or not they've had more time to work on something, I don't know. But at the moment, Bellerin's performances seem to be gradually picking up bit by bit. So, I mean, it sounds like I'm giving most players a 7 here, but I mean, again, yeah, he played well, gets a 7 from me. Then into the midfield, you got Xhaka. Now, Xhaka, I think he's another player that under Arteta has been playing well. Arteta realises what he's good at, what he's not good at, and knows, okay, you put an assured passer alongside him where his head's not going to get flustered, and he, 9 times out of 10, he will have a decent game. And I think that's what he's had here again today. He's had a decent game, putting his body in about, not really troubled too much. Fulham team weren't really pressing as much, so it allowed him and Elneny a chance to pop the passes off and feel assured in the midfield area. So, yeah, I give Xhaka a 7, Elneny a 7. No one was really tested too much. I had to work under pressure, so it's all assured performances from those guys in the midfield area. Then moving on to the forward line. Now, I was a bit surprised actually, let me just say, with Lacazette playing. I thought Eddie and Nketiah would have been started. Lucky Eddie's been playing in the pre-season games. He then went to England's unders and scored a hat-trick in one game and I think a goal in another game. Eddie's looking in really good form, so I was a bit surprised that he wasn't starting. But that being said, Lacazette's come in and he's had a good performance. He's dropping deep, he's receiving the ball, he's holding the play up, he's pinging the passes left and right for either Aubameyang or Willian. Like he was having a decent game. had a couple chances, a couple times when he could have played the ball a little bit quicker or been a little bit neater with his passing. But overall, like I said, first game back, can't fault him too much. I'll give him a 7. Aubameyang, I'll give him an 8. I think when you got someone of this quality in this team that you're giving him half chances and he's turning it into a goal. He's running in behind, his movement, he's dribbling at players. It's up there. And once you swing the ball out to him, you know he's going to do something positive with it 9 times out of 10. Now, the chance that he buries into the top corner, there's a few players that are going to do that, and he is one of them. He is really top drawer. Now, I just want to see Arsenal announce that he's signed, and I don't care what money it's on, how long it's for, like 2, 3, I don't care. Just announce that he's signed and that we ain't got to worry about it for any longer, because this guy is too good to be going in to the 2nd, 3rd, 4th game of the season still not signed. I'm telling you, we need to just announce it. Arsenal, just announce it. And last but not least, then we move on to Willian. And like I said, it was really tough between him and Gabriel, who was going to be my man of the match. And for me, Gabriel just tipped it, but I give Willian an 8 because he's working the midfield, he's tracking back when needed, he's pinging the passes to the guys close to him, he's over the top balls, switching play. He's had a part to play in the first goal. He takes the corner for the second goal, and then he pings the ball across field for the third goal. What more can you ask for on your debut for the club? So Willian, for me, gets a solid 8, and could have been higher, but yeah, just needed that. I mean, if he scored that goal off the free kick, then yeah, definitely, hands down, would have been man of the match for me. Okay, that's your lot. That wraps it up for episode 1. As I said, you can follow us on T.H.E Arsenal Cast. That's T.H.E Arsenal Cast. I am Silent Noise, and you can get in touch on Twitter, on Instagram. You can email us at theacast@gmail.com. Send your questions, send any talking points, anything at all, and I'll discuss it on the show. And join me again next week. Well, after the next game. Until then, through harmony equals victory.